Well, not for the first time. Liverpool arrive for a cup semi-final second leg at Anfield with a little bit of work to do if they want to make a record-extending 15th League Cup final. It has been 29 days since the first leg in North London, where Tottenham Hotspur, still troubled by injuries, picked up a very impressive 1-0 victory. Can they take another step towards ending their own 17-year wait for a major trophy? Carabao Cup semi-final second leg between Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur, leading 1-0 on aggregate at the moment. It kicks off at Anfield at 8 o'clock tonight. Very good evening, welcome along to Matchday Live. Newcastle United are waiting in the final. Can Liverpool make it a repeat of the 1974 FA Cup final, played in by a certain Phil Thompson? He is with us, as is Gemma Bonner, to look ahead of this one. Hopefully Liverpool 90 minutes away from another trip to Wembley. Phil Thompson on a slot at the top of his programme notes tonight says the equation is clear. How clear and how simple will the task be of overturning this deficit?
It'll be tough. Spurs come into it relatively in a better frame of mind, certainly from the first game, and they turned us over, and I just feel a 1-0 deficit feels better than a 0-0. Now, you make your own mind up, and it's a bit weird. I'm spending too long with Paul Merson. So that sort of, for me, but being down 1-0, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm so up for this game. I'm so looking forward to it. At 0-0, I might have been going, yeah, we can do this. This is massive. 1-0 deficit, I think, is quite obtainable with this team, what we have. So I'm awaiting a wonderful game.
Gemma, it is the sixth time that Liverpool have arrived in a League Cup semi-final second leg with a deficit to overturn. They have done the job in 2 of the previous 5 occasions. What is the key tonight to getting the job done?
I think probably patience. I think obviously coming into the game losing 1-0, I think I'm interested to see how Tottenham approach the game in terms of how they manage the style of play, because ultimately they're the ones in control at the moment. But I think patience and not putting too much pressure on scoring that early goal, because I think there's enough quality, enough experience. I think you look at the youth in the Spurs side, and I think Liverpool do have enough experience to use that and make sure, you know, that 90 minutes is a long time to make sure there's enough time to turn it over.
Yeah, that's one of the key points I was just about to make, actually, and I feel like I've said it a few times in Champions League ties over the years, but 90 minutes is a long time when you're only 1-0 down. You don't have to win this game tonight by 8:15.
No, absolutely, but hasn't that been our way under Arne Slot? Is that we have been patient, because teams come, they want to get behind the ball. Doesn't matter how good some of these teams are, they'll get behind the ball, they'll make it very difficult. And we've learnt, the fans, ourselves, have learned to be patient, to take our time. It will come, the goals will come. And I think a lot of the time is we keep that clean sheet. I think that will be so important, because you feel like we will score. So it's imperative that we do things in transition. Just on to Gemma, and the people going on about they beat Manchester City 4-1. I think 3 of the goals were just on a counter-attack. So we have to be careful about that. They've got some pacey players, but I do think at times, and we've learned it, to be patient.
You said there that we don't know how Tottenham will approach it. They were a little bit more conservative in that first leg victory at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium some 4 weeks ago. What do Liverpool need to do better tonight than they did in that first leg?
I think obviously they have to take the chances. I think Spurs are going to come here, obviously within the lead, but I think there's also a pressure on them in terms of how they build and how they play out from the back. I think Liverpool will wait for those chances, but, you know, like Tomo's just said, they have to be aware of the counter-attack, because you saw the recent result for Spurs in the Premier League, that they didn't have as much possession, but they come away with a 2-0 win, and I think that's probably the most threat that Spurs have tonight.
I think if you remember the first game we played against them, that first leg, they were very nervous playing out from the back. Really nervous, and I think we've got to capitalise on that. You know, young Gray, who's not a bad player, but he's a young boy, he doesn't have the experience, is to get after him and make sure we put him under pressure. I do think that there are areas what we do. We're just seeing this goal now from a player who shouldn't have been on the pitch. And I don't know whether him and the rest of the team are still celebrating, by the way, because that lap of honour took about half an hour for them to complete. We have to remember things like that. What happened in that game, how that went against us, and we have to be fired up. It's not rocket science. In that dressing room, how up for it. They might say it, the players, you have to feel hard done to.
And be fired up as well by the power of the crowd. And we maybe saw it actually in that first semi-final at Newcastle last night, that in a second leg, just what the home crowd can do for a team.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's a great atmosphere at St James's Park, and they have a game like that. It can do that. It can lift you. Certainly, sort of at difficult times when you're searching for it. And there's no better place. I was listening on the radio this morning. He was saying, "Oh, the best atmosphere in football, St James's Park. Do me a favour," you know. And I'm thinking, if they never heard of Anfield, never been to Anfield, this place can inspire people, and we need another big night tonight.
I think for sure the crowd will play a big part. I think especially we speak about how young they are, and you know, Ange speaks about some of his young players have never played at Anfield, let alone in a atmosphere that I think tonight will bring. And I think as a player it brings different challenges, the pressure of the crowd, and also you're probably not going to be able to hear your teammate next to you, and as a young player you probably want a little bit of assurance in those moments. So for sure I think the crowd will play a huge part tonight.
Well, the sprinklers are certainly playing a huge part tonight. We might need to go and just duck and take cover a couple of minutes.
I told you we need an umbrella.
Yeah, probably would be nice, wouldn't it? Just on the clearest night, we're still getting absolutely soaked. So in the meantime, we will hear from Tsimikas. It is advantage Tottenham going into this one, but the Greek defender says Liverpool are more than ready to change that.
Kostas, one game away from Wembley, although a deficit you face against, but you must be raring to go.
Yeah, of course. I think everybody's really focused, ready for this game. Everybody knows from the boys will be a very tough game to face. But I think everybody in this team ready for every challenge. So yeah, we have just to play our game, and you know, when you are 1-0 down, you know, we want to play again to win the game and to go through in the final. So yeah, it will be a very good challenge for us. But as I say, we have to show once again that we are ready. We want to take every trophy is possible, and we have to do exactly that to play our game and to win the game. It was a very tough game, to be honest. There, hard game, you know, tough battles between us and them. So the team who want it will show on the pitch like it wants more. You know, this win. I think to put everything in hard battles. Put our head, you know, in the fire, as we say, to show to everybody that we want to win this game and to go to the final.
And you know, you'll have Anfield right behind you as well.
Yeah, of course. That's the most important, you know. Always the fans are there for us, and every single step we do, always they're there to encourage us and to give us the extra power and extra confidence we want to win the game. So always in the Anfield, with Anfield in our back, we are stronger, and we have to show again.
What is the key to this game? Sort of remaining calm and patient, because you know you've got 90 minutes plus potentially more.
Yeah, I think we want to score. My feeling is to score first, you know, a goal, quick one, and after, you know, it will be a very different game. They will try to go higher and to play from the back, you know, and we have to steal some balls and to score. So yeah, I think this game will be very, very tense as it was the first one as well. And yeah, the thing is, as I say, we don't want to lose many chances. We want to score a goal, probably goals, and to win the game. Just on yourself, you were recently praised by the manager. Do you feel like yourself is in a really good moment and potentially playing some of the best football of your Liverpool career? Yeah, I just feel confident instead of the previous years. I think I feel like the manager believes in me. You know, when I play, always he suggests me, is there for me, and always show me, and that he wants the best for me. So I really enjoy to be here with the manager, with the boys. You can see the smile in my face always when I play and when we score a goal. So yeah, it's big thing for me to say good things, but I think as I say always, the mirror is the pitch. You have to show there what exactly you can do, and nothing is easy as we know. So yeah, I'm really happy, and I will continue to do this as many years I can.
Well, let's just have a quick word on Kostas Tsimikas first. Does it feel the closest selection call it has ever been between him and Andy Robertson as to who plays in the big games at the moment?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's probably seen the most game time that he has done this season, more than previous. I think he speaks about having that belief in himself, and he feels that from the manager, and that gives him confidence to go and play. And I think that can make a huge difference in a player, in terms of if they're playing with confidence, they're going to go and want to try things. And you've seen the effect he has, and not just necessarily an open play, but the set-piece delivery as well. He's got a few assists, so I think he's probably feeling in a good place at the moment.
Yeah, the amount of games he's played is testimony to how he feels, but it also is how Robbo has sort of been this season. Has he been as consistent as what Robbo would have been like? Probably no. And I think Kostas has shown that, and he's thought, I'm all right in here. When he has played, I don't think he's let us down at all. It's probably one of those positions, one and only positions where we're all not sure of. Is it Kostas or Robbo? For me, it would be Robbo, but probably only just slightly at the moment.
I think they also add something a little bit different as well. I think with Kostas, you'll see a lot of his crosses from deep, whereas Robbo likes to run and stretch in behind. So I think having that option, and especially being able to change it, I think you've seen a lot more of that maybe one started and the others come on and finish the game.
Listen, it can only help us, because you see Kostas, and our substitutes have impacted games. So you're looking at Kostas coming on now, and he looks as though, yeah, I'm ready, and he goes bang, and he's straight into it. Whereas before, and it was, well, I'm always sort of just a bit part player, but now he feels more important than that.
And I was going to ask that question, that psychologically, the change in manager, you always felt that no matter how good Tsimikas was under Jurgen Klopp, if it came to a big game, he would always pick Andy Robertson, and maybe actually if Tsimikas is in a good moment now, Slot will pick him first.
Yeah, I think it's getting that close. It is, and sometimes that helps you. Andy should feel the challenge at the moment and want to improve. Andy went through a few games where, and listen, I did it as a player myself, and all the goals that go in and incidents that happen, it's your fault. And you go, why always me? Why is this happening? And I think Andy getting sent off, giving away penalties, all kinds of incidents were going against him. That's what happens. Shows you the measure of the player to come through that. And I think Kostas realised, now's my time. So who benefits? The team benefits.
Just the other point that Kostas was talking about then about the deficit. Is it significant that Liverpool still have players left that know what it's all about? Some that were involved in the most famous night against Barcelona, that knows that. People forget that was actually only 1-0 at half-time before Liverpool stormed it in the second half, and it goes back to what we're saying about not needing to rush it tonight.
Yeah, I think it's a lot about mentality and how you approach the game. I think they'll be confident, they'll be focused within the team. And I think they know they're going to get chances no matter what team Liverpool play. And I think it's about managing those games. I think the way that Liverpool play, it's a lot more managed in terms of the approach and the chances that they create against what they give away. So I think tonight they'll know ultimately a final is on the end line, so they're going to have to be ruthless.
Yeah, ruthless Liverpool were at the Vitality Stadium on Saturday afternoon. A very impressive victory against informed Bournemouth in the Premier League to retain that 6-point advantage at the top of the table. But it is Carabao Cup action tonight. So what has Arne Slot done with his Liverpool team? Mark Benstead has the details.
Thank you, Rob. Well, Liverpool's 1-0 loss to Spurs in the first leg of this semi-final was their first defeat on the road this season, and one of only just 3 losses in total across all competitions so far, as the Reds continue to fight on all 4 fronts. Given that hectic schedule, it's pretty good news for the manager to hear that he has pretty much everyone to call on for this evening, minus, of course, the injured Trent Alexander-Arnold. That enables him to make some alterations for his side tonight from the one that lined up at Bournemouth on Saturday. He makes 4 changes in total, with perhaps the most notable coming in goal. As Ali Becker is given the night off, Kevin Kelleher starts in his place. So the team in full then is as follows. It is Kevin Kelleher in goal. His last start came, of course, last week over in Eindhoven. Virgil van Dijk continues at the back and captains the side once again. Ibu Konate will be alongside him. Dominic Szoboszlai retains his place from the weekend. Darwin Núñez comes in as one of the other alterations. His last start came in Lille in the Champions League. He replaces Luis Diaz tonight. Mo Salah is in from the off once again. Curtis Jones come in after impressing off the bench at the weekend. He replaces Alexis McAllister. Cody Gakpo starts once more. 4 goals in 4 League Cup appearances for him so far this season. Andy Robertson is retained, so too Ryan Gravenberg. The final change sees Conor Bradley replace the injured Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. He has plenty of experience in this competition. He, of course, started last season's final. On the bench, Vidislav Jaros is the sub-keeper. Wataru Endo, Luis Diaz, Alexis McAllister, Fede Chiesa, Harvey Elliott, Diogo Jota, Kostas Tsimikas and Jarell Quansah complete the subs. In terms of the headline Spurs news, well, in terms of their 2 deadline day additions, both are involved tonight. Danzo starts. Tell is amongst the subs. I'll bring their team in full a little bit later in the programme. It's worth pointing out a few things about tonight's game, Rob. It is worth reminding people that VAR is in play tonight, and VAR announcements will be made to the stadium if they are needed. And of course, we could have extra time and penalties tonight as well.
Yes, just what we needed, extra time. We can't have the driver revving up the car at 10:30, can he? Just get out of there quickly.
No. But maybe that's why Kavim's on the bench. Takes a good penalty.
Well, Kevin Kelleher starting in goal seems like one of the big headlines tonight. Are you surprised by that?
Yes, because this is a massive game. It's a semi-final. It's not to be taken lightly. But with Jaros being on the bench, it makes us, as he picked up a niggle, that they don't want to risk him because there's big games ahead. That, to me, looks the case. If Ali was on the bench, you'd think, well, he's resting him. He's given Kelleher the chance. This doesn't look like that. It will be a shame and will be a big blow if Ali has picked up an injury.
The point would be, though, we sort of spoke about it with Tsimikas and Robertson, it's not quite as close between the 2 goalkeepers, but every time Kevin Kelleher has been in the Liverpool team in recent times, he has not let them down.
Yeah, I think you've definitely not been able to tell when there's been a change of goalkeeper. I think in the first leg we were all probably expecting Kelleher to get the nod and play, but I think he went with Alisson, which was probably a bit of a surprise because he doesn't really play in this competition. But I think, look, they've both played with the team enough with the back line. There shouldn't really be too much change in terms of who's in goal, and I feel like we always say this when we're talking about them. We're lucky to have 2 of the best goalkeepers in the same position that, come in these big games, you can always rely on him in those moments that ultimately Liverpool are going to have to defend tonight.
Wasn't that Ali's first game at Spurs in the FA Cup or in the League Cup for, I don't know, something like 12 games or something?
It was only his 2nd ever League Cup appearance.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, with both of them have come in semi-finals, one against Arsenal 3 years ago and then against Tottenham as well. Let's go to the other end of the pitch for the other significant selection then. It's Darwin Núñez from the start tonight. Why do you think Arne Slot's done that?
I think I'm probably a bit surprised in terms of having Diaz on the bench. I think Núñez, what he offers in terms of the physicality and the runs and the energy, and I think Arne Slot probably wants to play with a lot of intensity, and maybe that's the reason in terms of how Spurs play out. He wants to put them under pressure with the press, and then maybe as the game opens up, the spaces come on, and you've got a player like Diaz that can come on and capitalise on those. But for me, I think I'm surprised, but hopefully I think we all trust in terms of Arne's decision so far, so I'm sure there's a good reason.
I think the biggest reason is when you've looked at it for a long time, which Postecoglou's been sort of hammered for. They play 2 higher line and they never drop off at any point. They push and they play high. that makes a good space for Darwin Núñez. I think they've looked at the way they play. If you're doing that, Darwin is always better when he's got a lot of green grass in behind defenders to run into. When he has problems, it's when teams defend in their own box and there's nowhere for him to use his pace. Maybe that's had something to do with it. But, like Gemma, I'm surprised. I thought Luis Diaz has done enough as that false nine to warrant a start.
Just on the point about that high line, I mean, you both know actually as former central defenders that Ben Davies, who starts tonight, you would say is not the quickest, and trying to play that high line with someone like, he has other qualities, of course, Ben Davies, but that recovery run that Mickey van der Ven is so good at is not maybe his biggest strength.
Yeah, I think it's something that he'll be aware of. I think psychologically, you know, if you're not a quick defender and you're coming up against pace, you maybe got to, you know, assess the situation a little bit earlier. And, you know, it's not just in the 9 position. You'll have Mo Salah, Cody Gakpo running in and exploiting those spaces. So I think it'll definitely give Spurs backline something, and not necessarily always having the 9 drop in where you can see it and it's comfortable. And I think that's probably one area, like you said, that they can capitalise on in terms of the space.
If it is, Ben Davies loves a challenge, and he loves somebody right up against him where he can fight for the ball and ruffle with him. As you just explained, he doesn't want it being played in behind. And you put the ball in there, he is always up for a foul. He is always up to sort of for a card. And that is so important because they will do that. And then they've got young Archie Gray, who's a good player, but he's inexperienced. I don't know whether he is.
So he'll be playing right back tonight.
Oh, is he playing right back?
So Danso, the new signing, will play alongside Davies.
That's a good.
We're stealing Mark Benstead's thunder here, but it doesn't really matter. We'll carry on.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Mark. But it is. You've got to look. They will still play the high line. It doesn't matter. Ange loves to push up, right up to the halfway line and hold it. Now we always played like that, but you always know when you have to drop off. They just hold that line as high as they can, and I think we can exploit that.
I think also, you know, we mentioned about Archie Gray moving to fullback. I think having that transition from being used to playing as central to then moving out wide, that's going to affect the line as well. And I think you're always probably most comfortable knowing the line and knowing the players that you're playing with week in, week out.
So that was actually going to be one of my questions about Núñez. Remind me, because all the games blur into one. You were with us for the Lille game, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? So we were talking about Núñez's unpredictability before the game. I wonder whether, for Danzo, who is new to it all, and as you said, getting used to his surroundings, getting used to his teammates, also being up against a guy who you're not exactly sure what he's going to come out with, adds to the challenge of it tonight.
Yeah, I think for him coming in, the magnitude of the game, the importance of the game, and he's in a pivotal position, and I think it might be a clever move in terms of Arne putting that pressure on him straight away, and, you know, ultimately he's probably going to give him a nightmare. And I think a lot of disruption that Núñez can cause will leave gaps for other players.
I'm hoping, I'm putting myself in his position now, going into a new club, we play a high line. I don't know where he was at before, that's what they did. But Spurs are different than nearly every other team, how they do this. I've mentioned it a couple of times. And you're doing that, you've got to be brave. You've got to be there. And if you're not brave, you start dropping off on your own. And that leaves your other 3 defenders all in the line and you're playing people on. It's going to be a tough night for them.
I think along with being brave, you've got to trust the other players around you, and for him coming in, he's not played with them before, so how can you trust those players straight away? You don't know what they're going to do, you don't know the characteristics of the players, you haven't necessarily developed that relationship, so it'll be interesting.
Have they? Yeah, they really haven't.
They probably had 1 or 2 training sessions together to kind of develop that relationship so quick. It's going to be a challenge for them.
The other significant thing about Liverpool's attacking setup tonight, which is different from the first leg, excuse me, but not different from the league game, is that Dominic Szoboszlai plays, and I thought he was excellent in that game that Liverpool won 6-3, almost playing as a second striker at times. He was that far up the pitch.
Yeah, I think the way that he adds into Liverpool's midfield, I think he's so dynamic with his movement. He can drive with the ball, he can take players out with the ball, but I think the energy that he brings and those final third runs, they stretches and, you know, in attacking but also defensive, he gets back, he makes the recoveries and he sets the attacks off again. So I think he was a real big miss when he wasn't in the side, and I think he'll again have a big role to play.
It was that game that probably one of his greatest games. Dominic's, since he's had some good ones, but that he was so influential because he made those runs from deep, and we were playing the balls over the top. The pitch down there is just massive, and we just kept playing it, and they didn't have a clue how to handle him, and he was top class. Hopefully he can do the same tonight.
Okay, if you're watching us on social media, you're about to leave us. For full details of how to sign up to LFC TV, all you need to do is go to liverpoolfc.com/watch. Here is what is coming up between now and the rest of the evening. Still hear from both managers between now and kick-off at 8 o'clock. Then there's full audio commentary with Steve Hunter and Neil Mellor, and we are back with the post-match show at 10. Tomo will be popping open the champagne as we celebrate Liverpool reaching the final. That's right, isn't it?
Hopefully.
And you will be able to get all that joy and euphoria in the podcast as well, available wherever you get your podcast. The full match will be on LFC TV from midnight tonight, and then all the behind-the-scenes access on our Facebook and YouTube channels in Inside Anfield at some point tomorrow. So, can Liverpool reach the final? 2022, it was London opposition in the semis and Arsenal. They beat them. 2024, London opposition in the semi-finals, Fulham. Liverpool beat them. Can they get more capital gain against Tottenham tonight and return to Wembley next month? Back with more in just a couple of minutes.